Time. Hello everybody, Reggie Time here with Tom again. Tom's
Hello.
watching me play some 40NL on the Aussie site. This usually should have been Funky Friday with the 10NL spew, but we're just going to be doing this with Tom instead and trying not to spew so much. Remember Tom from the video in the week that was dead well received? Things haven't been going as well for him, so we're having another session where we're just going to play some poker, have a chat. He had a better night last night, things are looking up, but he asked if we could have another session, so here we are, we're doing it. I'm just going to play, give my thoughts. Tom's just going to chip in any time he would have done something differently, or if he thinks, fucking hell, that was shit, why did you do that? I'll try and answer as honestly as I can, because even though Tom's a fellow nit like me, there's different ways of being a nit, I suppose, and I suppose we'll all have different styles post-flop, so it'll be interesting to see what Tom thinks of some of the lines that I take.
Yeah.
Go on, bud.
So we've got ace 10 here in the small blind. Do we limp behind?
Yeah, we limp behind because
okay.
I didn't really offsuit ace 10. I think a lot of the time you'll isolate that to like 5-6 blinds and you'll still pick up 2 callers. Then you're left in the worst position with ace 10 offsuit, which for me is not a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely out of position. I would have just folded though.
Really?
I wouldn't have limped behind.
Even though it's only half the blind more.
Yeah, mainly because I just don't want to be paying rake, and from past experiences, like when you go multi-way, your equities also cut massively, and even though you may have the best hand, you may not actually have the most equity. Yeah,
it's all fair points. And I do a lot of completing from the small blinds against like passive opponents because they don't put you in tough spots that often. But you know, the rake's definitely a consideration that never even enters my head. I'm just like, ooh, 8-1, ooh, 7-1.
Yeah.
Let's call. That it could no doubt that could absolutely be a leak. It's certainly a fair observation. I complete a lot of crap, to be honest with you. If it's like multiple players in the pot.
Yeah, so my sort of thought process with completing in the small blind with limps is kind of a very exploitative one, and I would never do it if there was like a good reg in the big blind, and that's pretty much just small pairs and suited aces. Pretty much I just want hands that can make the nuts or make very strong hands post flop and are simple to play.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I think like a good reg in the blinds matters less if it's like a multi-way limp pot, because they're as handcuffed as we are, really. Yeah. In terms of they can't get 2 out of line. They couldn't just take like an ace 8 and bang a big squeeze in, because they would just get punished for it too. So they need to stay somewhat in line. But yeah, I absolutely take your point.
Yeah.
And I'm just that used to playing in games like these for so long that it's just something to do now. It probably very well could be a leak. I might think of making money from it and then post rake, maybe making no money whatsoever. You could be very right on that. Obviously we don't have databases to go through to check these things out. It's just going to be what our instincts are telling us, really, isn't it? Am I winning in these spots? Am I losing in them? You suspect I might be losing. You might well be right. I don't know. It's something I'll certainly pay more attention to. Then probably still do it anyway. If I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. I think it's probably winning. It's just it depends how much it's winning by. I think whether or not it's worth it. Plus, like I was used to playing far more tables, and like things like that were just like insta folds and just move on to the next hands. But now I'm back to just playing 3-4 tables. Definitely have seen a bit more of little more passive actions in spots where I wouldn't have normally played them, and I definitely wouldn't be doing in Zoom what I was used to.
Yeah, there's less like multi-way limped pots in Zoom too, isn't there? The situation just comes up way less often.
Definitely.
Gonna go with a 3-bet here with the ace. I didn't want to just call his raise. I kind of rather play a pot with the limper, but when he 4x's, I don't want to be calling a 4x with a hand like this. I'd rather try and take it down pre, and then, if not, at least have a hand and some initiative post flop. But I think like quite often, when they isolate a limper, they're going to have a lot of stuff that they're going to have to fold to a 3-bet. Yeah. Sadly, this time it didn't happen, but I think we're pretty much obliged to c-bet that flop
Yeah.
and just give up, I guess, because there's literally no good turn cards for us.
Yeah.
Except an ace, of course. I don't expect to get raised here almost ever on this
But
board
you
texture.
you ended up checking.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. That's completely changed things. Why did I end up checking?
Time bank.
Ah, too much yapping. Well, now I'm just going to have to fold, unfortunately. Because checking and doing anything doesn't make any sense on that board. Yeah, the plan was to bet, but maybe...
Yeah.
Because I don't think you ever get raised there. If he calls, you can just give up.
Yeah.
If he raises, then fine, good for him. You're just going to fold, I guess. But I think the raise is almost never coming.
Mhm. I think that's fine. The bet size though is where I would disagree.
Would you have gone smaller?
Yeah, I'd have bet a third with probably my entire range.
I just think in these games, bad players don't fold as much to them as you'd like. I think in Zoom and what have you, where you're playing a lot of people who are just like got all the ranges nailed down and they're used to seeing those bet sizes and folding to them. I think if you're playing against like weaker regulars or even like bad players, I think you have to just size up a little bit just to get the fold equity that you're looking for. Because I think like, a bad player there could have pocket sevens and just not fold for 1/3, but they might fold for like 45-50%, something like that.
Yeah. So, I agree. You're not getting as many folds, but I think it's more to do with well, this is probably an overcomplication. Is looking at your entire range and how much the rest of your range benefits from c-betting, and how much money the rest of your range makes. And also, if they're continuing super wide, on turns you can usually blow them off their hands, which you can then, like, you can bet a lot of hands on the turn pretty much and just know you're getting folds if they're continuing relatively wide with, say, like pocket sevens.
You know what that sentence says to me? Says to me,
that?
You've done a fucking lot more studying than me in the last 2 years. That's what that says to me, sir. Hats off to you.
So, yeah, like, I don't mind betting half pot, but I wouldn't be doing it with my entire range if I was betting half pot.
Back in the day when I started, here we go, we're going to get it all in.
Oh.
It was completely standard to like c-bet 80% in 3-bet pots, like with an 80% frequency, and with like about a 75% pot size as well. It's fucking bonkers. Thinking going back now, that if you 3-bet pre-flop, you were c-betting probably very, very close to 100% of your range with like 75% pot sizing. Imagine doing that now, you'd get absolutely fucking slaughtered.
Yes, you would. People would quickly catch on and it would just be exploited so fast.
I look back at some of the... I mean, if I go back to like 2007 and say, right, I'm going to 3-bet to 9 big blinds and then I'm going to c-bet 5 big blinds, people would think you were off your fucking rocker. They'd think you were the worst player in the history of the world.
Yeah.
But then again, min-raising back then was completely frowned upon too. If you min-raised, you would have fished back then. Now, back in the day, that I used to have a presenter on Sky Next cricketer called Ed Giddins, and he started talking about min-raising before most other people did. And I remember I was like, nah, that's fucking rubbish, mate. And he got loads and loads and loads of criticism for it. He was just like opening for the min raise on Sky late in tournaments of like 20 and 30 blinds and things, which is now obviously completely standard. But he took a lot of heat for that. Oh, fucking ex-cricketer, what does he know? Why is he presenting poker? But whether it was just pure good luck that he did it or whether he'd actually put a lot of thought into it, I don't know. But he was certainly ahead of the curve on that one. Like,
yeah, definitely. So many things have changed.
Yeah.
Even while I've been playing, things have changed drastically.
I mean, I played an online game with friends, and my friend was playing another home game club last night. He got to a final table, so I watched him. And they were like, I think there were 4 people left. The bubble was like paying top 3.
Yeah.
And they all had, I don't know, say the average stack was 20, 22 blinds. And the standard open was pot. It was fucking ridiculous. I was thinking, what is going on here? And there was like, no one give a fuck. I was talking to my friends saying, right, you're second in chips. So, you know, you want to be staying at the chip leaders way, try to put pressure on the 2 shorter stacks. Because it was a big bubble. It was a £10 rebuy. They only paid 3 out of 20 odd players. So, like, the min cash was 76 quid, so it was an enormous bubble. So I just tried to talk my friend through it. But they were just, none of them were paying any attention to it. They were fucking open limping. They were 3.5x in. I just thought, fuck me, get me in these fucking games, but I've banned myself from tournaments so I can't. But Jesus Christ, it was utterly horrendous. It was like,
Hmm.
it's like watching a final table on Sky, but with like the worst players in the history of the fucking world on it. And you just look, any good
Yeah.
player would just destroy them because ICM wasn't a factor, and it was a big ICM spot. When you're getting like 7.5 buy-ins for the min cash,
Yeah.
it's a huge ICM spot, and no one gave any fucks about it whatsoever. It was
I
fun to watch.
yeah, I think ICM's one of them really weird concepts. Like I was listening to uh Jamie Staples, and he did not a whole thing, but he spoke about it in one of his streams, and was just like, yeah, ICM's just like one of them things that even like the fish get affected by because they just feel like they want to make the next catch. And I was like, there are some fish who just don't care. Like, literally couldn't care less how short the other stacks are. They are getting in fives versus whatever you have, second in chips.
Yes, of
Like,
course they are.
and it's just,
They
like,
have they have
yeah,
literally no fucking clue whatsoever. That's certainly what I saw last night. They just didn't care. I've got a good hand, so I'm going with it, irrespective of whether I'm second in chips or
yeah,
fourth in chips or what have you. I didn't bet this flop because I got called in 2 spots, and I thought I've only really got a hand I
think,
can get 2
yeah,
streets anyway. If an ace peels off, then fuck my life. I just thought that maybe. I mean, the squeeze pre was a little bit ambitious, but I just saw this 45, 46 V pip play I had position on.
I think, yeah, I think it was fine. It's one of them boards that you don't have a range advantage much. You don't have as much 7x unless you start opening like, well, you can probably assume that they're calling like 7-6 offsuit if they're like really um, loose passive. So you definitely at a range disadvantage. So checking flops probably best for most of your hands. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think I do quite
like
a lot of stuff that's quite good, but I don't know why it's quite good. Because I watch a lot of like streamers playing and stuff, and they do a half good job of explaining things. And then like
yeah,
I watch a lot of like anything that good players put out. I watch that, and I don't watch it multiple times. I just look at the things they're doing, the sizes they're using, and I just assume right that must be quite good. So just might mimic it and then figure things
mm,
out for myself as I go along. I think I'm probably a little bit more. Um, Balanced than probably should have with that King Queen, but I was talking. I try and play like an exploitative game against fish, but I think I'm all right against like other OK regulars. Good regulars would crush me, of course, but yeah, I think I do a lot of stuff that just like I do it intuitively because I think that's right. But if you ask me to explain why, I wouldn't
mm,
necessarily be able to give a really clever explanation. I think you're far better at explaining things than I am, but I think I do enough of the right things in these games to still have a
well,
pretty healthy win rate.
yeah, you're clearly doing something right. You wouldn't have been here for so long if you weren't.
No, well, game selection's been a fucking huge thing of mine for a long time. I just refuse to play in games where if I don't see someone, at least one player where I know I've got a huge advantage against, I just don't play. I don't mind battling
Yeah,
rigs if I have to, if it's a table worth battling on. But
yeah,
yeah, I see a lot of people like. Well, I'll go to join tables on Bros, and there'll be like 2 or 3 of my players at it, and another regular, and I just turn it down and thinking, what are these guys all doing at this table?
yeah,
Where on earth
wait,
is your edge coming from?
yeah.
Oh, we don't time out this time. No, I didn't. Just got it in time.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm
did
not
we?
sure if these bets are good or bad, but I think it's
Did
such
you
a dry board.
isolate?
Yes, he limped, I called, and then I just went for the small stab.
Okay.
I mean, I guess
I've
we could
actually.
check call, but I just don't like. I mean, look at this guy how passive he is. I just
Yeah,
hate check calling against passive players. So if I'm going to put some money in, I'd probably rather make an aggressive mistake than a passive mistake.
yeah, and I think that's a good rule of thumb generally against very passive players is that it's going to be harder to make an aggressive mistake than it is a passive mistake.
Ah, yes, you said that the other day, didn't you? That's stuck with
Yeah,
me. Yeah.
it's but that flop in particular, you, I've actually run a solve on like a super wide passive player versus my isolation range, and on like 998877 blank whatever, it pretty much just checks its entire range because you don't have any like the only 9x I have is like king 9, queen 9 Jack 9 and 10 9, and the rest of my range is at a disadvantage because I'm assuming my opponent has 9 8 off, 10 9 off, 9 7 off at some frequency, King 9 off, Ace 9 off, and all of these off-suited 9x, which then increase the amount of combinations of 9x they have. But I think generally it's not going to be like losing by betting, even if it's just betting small. I
So
think
if we
your
are
opponent's...
checking there, then I can't remember what it was, but let's say it was 994 for argument's sake, with
Yeah.
Ace King, are we then check calling against people that we don't expect to be like betting super wide? Or we just check folding Ace King on 994? Because that seems really dirty to me.
Yeah, so my line would be check call, but I'd be protecting the rest of it with like aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, and nines. So I'd have all of my overpairs. I'd have ace king and ace queen with backdoors, probably call in, probably ace king with maybe a couple combos of ace king offsuit. But I'd have to go over the solve again, but I was pretty certain like the only flops you can really like bet are like ones that contain one Broadway. Jack X is actually the best, like Jack 8 6 rainbow, and basically it just bets pot with its entire range. And I readjusted the strategy to put in what I think my villain would do against a pot size bet, and it just like massively increased the EV of every single hand. And my isolation range in position is generally 9s plus and 10-9 suited plus, so up to ace 9 suited and then down to ace 8 suited plus. And I widen that a little bit if people are folding a lot to say like 9-8 suited, 7-6 suited occasionally, just to get board coverage. But yeah, on pretty much any Broadway, the solver likes to bet pot, and then especially so if they're passive. If you're not getting check raised, then...
Just hang on a sec, bud. Oh, I've run out of time back. Can't call there anyway. I went for the double band. Normally, I bet there just because it's like queen low low, and we have the back door.
Mm-hmm.
Then we hit the back door draw. I thought about checking back, but then I thought, no, we've got our back door draw. Then he just check shoved on me, and I felt sad. Not sure if you were watching the hand or not. I think the C bet is fine. I think once we turn the equity, it's fine. It feels dirty folding, but we're only getting like 2-1, and we know we need to hit, and we're way worse than fucking 2-1 dog there.
Yep, I think played fine. That's another thing actually that I've looked through is how the solver likes to play ace high flushes, and I wouldn't do it in soft games because you're just not gonna get the value. But essentially, there's an equilibrium or a balance strategy in which you just bet every offsuit ace X that has the nut flush draw on the turn, and then you bet every ace high flush for half pot, including sets and stuff like that. And then on the river, you just jam, and it can be like 5x pot, and it's just
so you jam with your ace X flushes that are missed, and then with all your value too.
Yeah, all your value with all your nut flushes. It doesn't work if you start including like king high flushes because you just end up getting coolered. But like all your nut flushes and then all your missed nut flush draws to balance it out, and to just jam, and it can be like 5x pot, and it's apparently still good. I watched an upswing video before running that, and it was by a guy called, I think it's My Name is Carl.
Oh yeah,
he's one of the pros on upswing. Yeah, he did it in a play and explain, and I really liked it against regulars because they just hate it, because it's like it is literally their nuts or nothing, and like they know they can never have the nuts, which I think makes it super good. And if they just start folding sets, then you're just printing because you have quite a few bluffs and you have an awful lot of value as well, because if you're opening every suited ace.
So basically on 3 flush boards, just that you've got like the nut blocker.
Yeah.
just fucking batter overbet jam rivers with that and with your actual nut
Yeah.
flushes. And
As-
so you said you're going to do that with sets too on flush boards, or not?
So when there's a flush draw on the board, so it's not monotone to start with,
Yeah.
and you bet get called and you're in position, and on the turn the flush gets there, if you block the nut flush, you bet half pot as well as your sets and 2 pair plus, and all of your nut flush blockers and your nut flushes. Then on the river, you can overbet jam all of your missed flush draws that all have the ace of hearts in that example, and then all of your nut flushes.
But you don't jam your sets and things if you get
Don't
caught on.
jam your sets. Yeah,
Right, I
don't
get
jam your
it.
sets.
So we're only jamming flushes and flush blockers.
Yeah, and then the other part of the strategy is you bet about 2/3 pot, and that can include some sets, or you can bet half pot. I think it might be half pot or 2/3 pot where you include sets and flushes, and then pot if you're only betting flushes, and then over bet jam when you're only betting the nuts or nothing.
So we've raised straddles on both this table and this table, and we've flopped well on both of them, but less well on the second one, I think.
Yeah,
and now
I agree.
Now the middle one's gone thoroughly tits up, but we've got less than a pot size bet left. So I'm just going to pile it in anyway, and it could be really bad, but I'm doing it.
I agree. I think just piling in the money at this point, making opponents make the mistake of calling or folding is probably better than just checking and then you being put in the position of potentially making mistakes.
And I don't think we're going to fold if this guy jams. If he's flopped a flush and we flopped a straight, then he's getting the money, I think.
Yep. So there's monotone flops are also pretty interesting.
I typically bet quite small on them. I bet pretty wide, like 1/3 pot. But when I've got an actual hand and I think I'm up against a fish, I'm going to try and get a bit more value from his draws. And just don't want him to get there cheaply or start trying to make moves on me that I can't really handle.
Yeah, I agree with that. I generally agree with that. I think the simplified GTO strategy is to just bet quarter pot with your entire range on monotone flops, because the whole idea of range advantage goes away once it's a monotone flop, because your opponent should have 25% of their suited combos are now flushes.
Not sure this is a good barrel here, but I don't think it was. I just hate giving up. I don't want to check call. We've got draws to the nuts, so I didn't particularly want to check call there. Didn't want to check fold. So again, at the minute I'm doing very much. I think it's probably picked up from you on Monday. It was when you said you'd rather make an aggressive mistake than a passive mistake. So I think I've kind of picked that up from you, because it's not something I do routinely. But lately I've been like, right, okay, well I may as well just keep betting because I don't want to check fold. So I may as well just keep betting then. But I think I'm maybe overdoing it slightly.
Yeah, I think the turn, your opponent probably has more 9-7, so it has more straights. So you can probably get away with checking more. I think you get check raised more than... Oh, not check raised, sorry. You get bet raised more than you'd like by barreling ace-queen. I think having the club is good, because then, you reduce some of the combinations of hands that will continue. But the problem with that is, once you get to the river and you're considering bluffing, I think your hand turns into a pretty bad hand to turn into a bluff, because you block the vast majority of his flush draws. But I think turn's okay. I wouldn't have bet in that spot.
No, it's not something I've been... I think it's literally you... That little thing, you saw that seed in my head the other day, and I've started being more aggressive in spots where I typically never used to be. I'm going to raise here as well, I think. This could be very, very spewy, because we could just maybe think about calling, but I don't mind turning the aggression on a little bit in videos. You don't want to be too boring in them. If we get felted, we get felted. Never mind. I'll live with it. You did this to me last night, by the way. I had pocket fives. You just showed me A5, and now we're going to check call here, I guess, and not like life very much. I'm not liking this spot all of a sudden. I think I've maybe overplayed it. I think I've maybe over egg the pudding. Oh fuck! What do? Tell me what to do, and I'm going to do it. Just tell me what to do quickly.
I think it's a call and then a fold on the river.
Ooh, that feels dirty, but we'll do it.
It does feel dirty, but we can hope that we get to showdown. That's how I would have played it.
Let's get the reload ready.
He's gone all in. Yeah, this is an easy fold now. Yeah, it's a bit of a...
I mean, I probably could just have taken the easy route and check called the flop, but yeah, it's not as free. I am definitely a bit more fruity on videos because you need to be. People don't just want to sit and watch some cunt folding all day.
Oh yeah, it's good fun. It's good fun getting into spots. That's what.
It's a bit
That's what
pricey,
I
mate.
used to do. That's what I used to do when I used to occasionally like just play 5 and L and just try and get into stupid spots and see what people did. And it was so interesting. Like people like check raising them with second pair, and then just going bomb and making trips and then jamming and seeing them call down with some weak top pair.
That happened to me last
Just
night
be
on
like-
Breeze. I don't think you were at the table, and I think I had an overpair, and some guy check raised me. It was like Queen 4, fucking something. Bone dry anyway.
Yeah.
So I called his check raise with my aces or kings or whatever. Then he bombed the turn 4, and I snapped, and the river was a brick, and he jammed, and he'd raised me with just like bottom pair on the flop and like a backdoor flush draw, then just turned into trips. I was like, fuck off, mate. No need for that. Is there? There's just no need for that. I'm going to check back the jacks here. I think I could have bet, I guess, because we have that. I think we have a range advantage on that flop, but I'm going to just possibly bet twice here now if the river breaks up, I think, for value. So like get a nice river deuce or something. The 3-bet pot, he min raised, I think we 3-bet.
Yeah. It's not the brickiest of rivers.
It's anything but the fucking brickiest of rivers. I'm hoping for a check. I'm not going to lie.
And yeah, I think I'm not going to say because I'm pretty sure you got this.
Well, I'm getting the reload ready, so that means I'm not calling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's probably the worst river. Maybe a 9 of spades. It's probably slightly worse. I really like this line you took against me last night.
With what?
Where you raised the button and I called in the big blind. And I had ace jack and it was ace 10 blank, you bet. I called, turn was a king, you bet again, I called. And the river was a blank. And then I checked to you and you overbet the river.
Yeah, I remember what I had as well. I had a gut shot. I think I had king, queen, or whatever it was that made the gut. Was it like an ace 10 something flop?
Yeah, ace 10 something. And I was like, I have such a good hand to just call down because I blocked what it seems like you're repping. Like, but then part of me was just like, he's such a nit.
Yeah,
He's
I am
such a nit.
such a
Just
nit.
fold.
I
Just
built up a lot of
fold.
a lot of nit vig in my life. I had king, queen, and you called me earlier with like ace 3 suited or something at the big blind. It took a similar line, but I didn't bet the river. So I'm like, if he has like ace 3, ace 4, ace 5, there's not a chances. I mean, if I thought you had ace jack, I probably wouldn't have done it. But I thought if you have like a lot of like low aces in your hand, I just didn't think you'd look me up that light. And I had like the gut shot that didn't get there, obviously.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't obviously normally do that against you, but you check raised me twice, and I fucking hate being check raised. I was like, no, he hasn't check raised me this time, so I'm just not fucking having it and going for it. And I don't like having like dynamics against people and know, but at the same time, I don't have any like conversations with anyone that I play with either about right. Well, I'll play soft against you. You play soft. Well, I just play straight up versus everybody. I don't go out of my way to be a dickhead, but at the same time. I'm still going to try and play as normally as possible. In a multi-way part, I'll be honest with you, I probably do just try and play it honestly then. But heads up, anything goes, I think. And it has to be that way. It can't be where, well, we're buds away from the table, so, you know, we just got to go for it. And if nothing else, you get a bit of needle out of it, don't you, or something.
Yep.
As long as one's not being totally out of line with you. Like, if I was being like quite gentle on you and then you were completely owning me all the time, that's not a fair balance, is it? You know, it's...
Yeah.
Kind of like, right, you had a couple of check raises. The one with 5s, that's what triggered me. When you check raised and you showed the 5 and I had pocket 5s, I was like, oh, no, I'm not happy with that one, sir.
I flopped the nuts.
Oh, did you really? Right.
Yeah.
You showed me the five. Was like, yeah, look at me, I bluffed you. So like you showed me one card having flopped the nuts. I reacted to that negatively and thought, "Fuck you, sir. I'm going to give you some back." And yeah, never mind. But at least it does genuinely prove that I literally have no relationships with anybody at the tables. I mean, I got so many players with me now. I couldn't keep track with them all anyway. To be fair,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's literally the only way you can go about things. Is like, yeah, I like you, I like chatting with you, but when we're at the
Yeah.
tables, it's just gloves off, isn't it? And
Oh yeah.
and
I
go
think
for it, and
that's
that's
the
it. And then at the end of it, you have a little chat and a giggle about it. You'll win some, I'll win some, and we'll all
Yeah.
crack on. I'd rather not play at tables with people that I know, to be honest, but sometimes it's unavoidable.
Yeah. I like having. I have a couple friends that we play at a local club, and I really enjoy playing against them. And like, well, I've actually passed them all onto you now.
Ah,
They're
good
all
stuff.
playing in your clubs now, and they're all enjoying it as well.
Remember a long, long time ago, back in, before 2010, I think, when we were just playing live and what have you. I went to a local game with a friend, and it was quite a big buy for me at the time, probably more than I should have been playing, but we wanted to play it, and we got drawn at the same table. So I remember saying to him, right, okay, don't bluff in multi-way pots, and let's just not fucking get in each other's way kind of thing, you know, as his mates fucking do.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, all right, mate, no worries. And then we got in a fucking quite a big pot together where I had quite a big hand. And he check raised me on the turn. I think I had an overpair or something. He check raised me on the turn. I folded thinking, well, he has to have it. And he just showed me a bluff. I was like, you can't. You double crossing fuckwit. I'm still good friends with him to this day. But he absolutely double crossed the shit out of me. And I was like, yeah, you deserve that. Because, you shouldn't be doing that in the fucking first place, And then
Yeah.
I've been punished by the person I thought I was. We didn't have any deal at chopping or anything. It was just like, right, just let's just stay out of each other's way, mate. And he's like, yeah, okay, no problem. And then he fucking didn't. He went out of his way to fucking bluff and show me. I mean, he could just have happily not shown me and told me in the break, oh yeah, I had a set, mate. And I'd be like, all right, fair enough. But no, he turned the fucking bluff over. And I was like, yeah, you dickhead. But never mind, we're still friends to this day, so it's all good.
Oh.
But, I mean, I don't even have anything on when I'm playing now, because it's just too distracting. Because my messenger's constantly fucking going, my Facebook's constantly going. So I turn my phone off, I turn like my Facebook off on my computer and everything because I just get too distracted otherwise.
Yeah.
But what I would like to do sometimes, which is kind of a bit disappointing, is when we're all in the same clubs. Like last night, a couple of times, if I was on Messenger or something, I would have messaged like you, Josh, a couple of others saying, look, I've got a good table here. I've got 3 fish, 2 empty seats. And I'd much rather it was filled by players I know to give them a chance to get in good games too than it was by 2 of the random regulars. But I just didn't have it on. But maybe that's something I might think about doing in future. If we're all starting tables, just be like, right, well, good table here. We've got 3 fish, 2 open seats. Because regs are going to fill them anyway. So I'd much rather it was regulars that I'm familiar with and who I like, who probably are not going to be as out of line against each other than just 2 random regs turn up.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how ethical that is even. I know lots of people share that. On Sky, I regularly just do it all the time because you'd see 2 or 3 joining quite quickly together. Now, I'm not saying for a second they were colluding. I don't think they were, but I suspect there was some like WhatsApp group or something going on saying, "Oh, table fucking whatever it's called, table goth." It's got 2 fish on it kind of thing. I mean, that goes on all the time.
Yeah.
It goes on in live poker,
Oh,
In the
yeah,
high stakes live games, if you haven't got like the card room manager on your payroll, like giving you a ring saying, right, fucking get down here, there's a couple of whales on, I'll save you a seat, then you're doing it wrong, aren't you?
Yes.
So I think sharing information about good tables is fine, as long as once you're at the tables, you keep everything completely above board. I don't have a big issue with that, but like I say, I don't even have stuff on when I'm playing because it's just way too distracting.
Yeah. So, what's your opinion then on read sharing? So, if you're at the same table as a potential fish, and one person believes they have a read, do you think it's fair for them to?
I
It's
wouldn't
fair
do
game,
it personally
or
at the table. I would between sessions. If you come to me and said, "Right, Reg, what do you think of this guy?" I'd happily share them. But at the table, no, I don't. I don't like it. I think you're getting too close to it, to be honest. But if you came to me the next day, we were at the table with this Corona 34 last night, and what do you think of him? I'd happily tell you tomorrow what I thought of him, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
like having them levels of chats whilst we're playing with them because you're getting close to a line that I personally have no interest in crossing, to be honest. So I
Yeah.
personally wouldn't do it. I assume it goes on, but
Yeah.
it's not something I would do. I value my like integrity way more than that because you never know. You and I might be really good friends now, but in
Mm.
2, 3, 4 months' time, we might have a falling out over something, and then you could just go start sharing chats saying, "Oh yeah, me and Rich talk about this at the table," and you could just
Yeah.
destroy me. And I don't want to give anyone that opportunity. I don't think it's right anyway. But even if I was that sort of person, I certainly wouldn't do it over Messenger or something because you're just leaving yourself wide open to people
Yeah.
manipulating that and making you look bad. So yeah, I have
Yeah.
no issue whatsoever discussing players away from the tables. We've all done it and we'll all continue to do it.
Oh yeah.
It's just how it goes, isn't it? You know, I did it on the Sky all the time. You know,
Yeah.
what do you think of fucking Big Hawk? What do you think of It's Quadsy? Things like that. And oh, it just made it does this and that. That's just human nature. But at the
Yeah.
tables at the time, like, oh, well, I'm not going to three bet him very much in these spots because he never folds, etc. That's not nice
Yeah.
because then you know something more about my three bet range at the time and where I'm thinking at the time. And
Yeah.
to me, that's
Yeah.
getting close to colluding, and I wouldn't be interested in
Yeah.
that.
I completely agree as well. I think away from the table is probably better because I think like everyone does it. Like you see people on Facebook posting videos and they'll say, "Oh, this person has done this in the past. That's why I've done this. And
Yeah.
what do you think of my hand?" And it's like, well, now I know this person
Of course,
has
yeah,
done
and
this.
that's completely
So
fine.
and I think that's fine. Yeah. But at the table,
And the
I
closest thing that's ever happened that I know of that's similar to that is when Brian Hastings and Townsend and Cole South absolutely raped Isildur for God knows how much.
Yeah.
And they definitely like shared hand histories beforehand to get them prepared. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if 2 or 3 of them were huddled around the same computer, pooling their knowledge against him at the time. You can never prove that, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of money at stake, and when there's a lot of money at stake, people will compromise themselves, won't they?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be at all surprised if they're all around the same computer, or at least not all in the same Skype or messenger conversation or something,
Yeah.
sharing ideas on what lines to take versus certain things. There's one thing you and I could prepare before a session, but you're not going to retain a lot of information, neither am I. But between 2 or 3 of us, we'd retain a lot more of it, wouldn't we? Of like,
Yeah.
this is what we're going to do in these spots. Remember that. So
Yeah.
I think they probably all had a piece of it, and they probably did, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Probably act a little
It
bit
wouldn't-
unethically against him, but nothing. It's not illegal, is it? And
Yeah.
there you go. Years ago, that sort of thing would probably get your kneecap shot off.
Yeah.
Where it's the internet
Back in
now,
the
isn't it?
Wild
And
West.
no one does anything anymore. Can you imagine if, like, the full tilt scandal happened in the 70s? Howard Lederer would not have been able to walk into a casino 2 years later. You know,
No.
Chris Ferguson wouldn't have been able to go for Player of the Year 2 or 3 years. They just wouldn't be alive, you know. And now, internet players allow themselves to get ripped off galore, and no one gets so much as a broken fucking fingernail over it, which is a better way of life. I don't want to see people getting hurt, but sometimes I think it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if someone did give Howard Lederer a punch in the fucking nose, like.
Yeah.
So we're talking crap. We're not getting many hands, are we? Typically, when you
No.
start talking crap, that means not much is happening.
Yeah.
I found in the
it
video.
does.
We've only got about another 10 minutes anyway. It's been much more like we just haven't had good hands rather than the games, because I'm still seeing plenty of limping and plenty of sizable pots coming from limped pots. The game's been fine. We just haven't really
Yeah.
had very much. We've had a little bit of spew, haven't we? But
They look good.
they are good. They're certainly better than Poker Bros, that's for sure. The Poker Bros Diamond Union, no, they're not better than that, but they're certainly better than the Union that we're in at the moment. I'd say they're probably not as good as, like, Peak Breeds is better than this, but they're way better than Hero in the mornings. If I had to rank them, Breeds late at night table starting, absolutely the best. Then probably this, then Poker Bros, then Heroes. Hero, that's how I'd rank them down. But even Heroes very beatable. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just the toughest of the lot. But I would back myself to play 100,000 hands there and turn up a winner, and just back myself to win more elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for a check raise here with this Queen 7 in the limp pot.
Yep. I do the same.
I'm going to have a lot of draws and stuff that maybe want to do it, and I don't know. It just felt like it was more. This guy feels like, I haven't seen very much, but I just felt he's maybe like one of them, like, passive pre-flop, gets a bit out of line post-flop sort of people, but Maybe I'm wrong. We've only played a few hands with him. We don't really know very much. We had that pot earlier, didn't we, where we had to check fold the turn after check raising him.
Yeah.
Maybe that was playing on my mind, and maybe I just thought he's more aggressive than he is.
Yeah, I think in limped pots, I think either in that spot check raising or just leading out is probably going to be fine. I think I sometimes prefer leading against passive opponents.
Yeah, I usually do lead. If
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about anyone there, I'd just be like, probably pot. But
Yeah.
against someone I think who might be maybe capable of bet and not folding worse.
Mm.
And not c-betting this 3-bet pot here, refusing to c-bet this board. I almost never c-bet these boards with my air in 3-bet pots.
I'd agree. The turn just gets worse.
We haven't done too well in 3-bet pots today, have we? Apart from the aces where we felt with jacks.
Yeah.
3-bet pots have not been our friend, but never mind. I think how you do in your 3-bet pots over the course of a session pretty much defines your session most of the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you run well with your ace kings and your ace queens and your over pairs, then you have a crushing session. If you run bad with them, you can come away from it thinking like you've just played terribly when you just haven't a lot of the time. You've just not connected well with flops and things.
Yeah, and 3-bet pots are like one of the pots that are like actually significant to win. Like you can open raise the button, get called by the big blind, c-bet and win. But you're not like winning drastic amounts in comparison to when you 3-bet, get called and then c-bet and win.
I had a real problem with when I first started playing on these apps because it was softer than Sky at the time. Because I was 3-betting my ace king, my ace queen all the time, and just missing so many flops. And I just didn't know what to fucking do with them in the end. I was like, well, I can't just give up every time, can I? And I wasn't really looking at board text. It was very much at the time just, well, I don't really want to bet here because I've missed and I don't expect these guys to fold it. That's when I did do a little bit of work on like which boards we should be continuing on and which one we shouldn't be in 3-bet pots, because it was definitely a huge leap for me. I was either playing way too passively, then other days I was playing way too aggressively, and whichever one I was doing, it didn't seem to be working out for me. So I think I'm a lot better in those spots now at just like, well, this is my board, so I'm going to bet it. This isn't my board, so I'm not going to. And it literally doesn't take that long to do that study either. You can probably plug some quite big leaks quite quickly with that kind of thing, just on studying a few different board textures. It's not like you've got to go hours and hours into the lab. It's a relatively simple spot once you get the discipline to deliver what you're meant to be doing. It's more of a discipline thing for me than it is actually like a tough technical spot. It's just like, I know what I'm meant to do, but I haven't got the fucking discipline to do it kind of thing. Not folding here to like 1 bet.
Yeah, that's fine.
With our backdoor equity, probably going to have to fold this turn though, I suspect. We'd have been check raising a blue one, probably check raising a 10, maybe check raising an 8 as well, but that's just not giving me any incentive to bet again. He's just got this board. I mean, we probably have a few more 9x than he does, but I don't think people are double barrel bluffing that often in this spot, even with that small size.
Yeah, I think even if you do check raise and aces continuing, hearts are continuing. I don't mind check raising flop, but like then you have to start check raising a lot of 9x, and that it just feels wrong to start check raising 9x on such a dry flop. So I think we have
to do it some of the time. If we never check raise with a 9x, then we can never have it, can we? We have to, and that's another thing that I have a problem with. I know I need to do it some of the time, but it's identifying which times to do it and which times not to do it. So I know I'm nowhere near perfect in them spots. I do throw it in there occasionally, but in terms of are my frequencies correct, I would be, if they are, it's by pure fucking chance. It's not by any like studying from me. It's like, well, I know I need to raise these sometimes. Usually it'll be villain dependent. The worse my opponent, the more passive they are, the more likely I'm going to raise them, because I think they're just going to be less likely to fold. Against a regular, probably wouldn't raise quite as much, but I know we still need to, otherwise we become exploitable in other ways.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to have another 3-bet pot here.
Wonderful.
So what's your strategy with jacks here? When we 3-bet, well, we squeeze, and just say the opener jams.
I think it's disgusting. I hate it.
I'd rather see him jam than like a smaller format though. I'd rather see him jam than him make it like 14, because I think the jam's got way more ace king in it than 14 has.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I just call off and just cry about it,
So you
and then
call and
say
then
how.
just call that. Oh, versus the jam. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, versus Jam, I think I just call off and just
Um,
cry that.
what if he'd made it? We made it 6 there. What if he then made it 14? What are you doing versus 14 there?
Um, Probably, I think it's just too nitty to fold. But like against, so I'm used to playing against some people who have actual 4-bet bluffs.
Yes, that's a
So
very
like
good point.
it's fine to just call, and like if you flop it as an overpair, like okay, well we just have to get this in because this person's meant to be bluffing at some frequency, and he probably is. But in games like this, I just feel like it's so dirty. I think it's fine because sometimes they may overplay a hand like Ace Queen, but like they won't jam Ace Queen, but they might 4-bet it. Especially if they're a reg E type player. Um, but against really passive fish, like last night, I opened under the gun on breeds, and it got to the there was 3 calls, and then the big blind squeezed, and I folded because I looked at his free bet percentage was like 1.2%, and that's literally kings plus.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I'll snap fold. But without any reads, Jax is just horrible in a 4-bet pot, I find. So
Yeah, it's
I
not,
might,
it's not one of my favourite spots. I'll be right honest with you. That's why I asked. I mean, to be fair, if he jammed, I was going to call. If he 4-bet
yeah,
small, I was probably just going to fold it, to be honest with you. And I think I'm maybe overfolding slightly there. But like I said, I just think 4-bet bluffs are just at such a low frequency in these games that I'd rather make a nitty fold than a bad stand, if you will.
yeah, yeah. I think that's fine. I think in terms of just opening yourself up to being exploited is fine against fish in that sort of spot. Because they're not gonna capitalize on exploiting you.
Right, before we end the video, I'm going to test your knowledge on late 70s and early 80s television. Look at my 3 avatars. Do you know what television programme they're from?
Not a clue.
That is devastating. You young fucker. You young bastard. Minder, one of the greatest television programmes ever exist. That is Terry McCann, the Minder. You must have heard of Arthur Daly, even if you've never heard of, you've never seen him. No, you haven't, have you? That's devastating. Have you ever heard the phrase "ear indoors" or "nice little earner"?
No, I recognise the guy on the left and the guy on the right from somewhere, but
the guy on the left has been in a few things. New Tricks was the thing he was in most recently. The guy on the right, he was in Some Mothers Do Have 'Em. He was his next door neighbour. I don't know if you've watched Some Mothers Do Have 'Em.
It rings a bell. It's probably something
that was even earlier than Minder, though. Anyways, never mind. Right. Thanks for making me feel really fucking old.
It's alright. Someone's got to.
I tried to change my avatar on breeds today, and it would only let me pick from the stock ones. But I know Josh has got a picture of KGB fucking Teddy or whatever he's called. So I'm going to have to message Josh later because I want my Minder avatars on there too. Anyways, we're going to play out our blind, so then we're going to wind it up. I think we've had a losing session. I think down 18. Losing session for sure. Down 18, down 11. That's down 29. Only down 15 though. Not going to cry about that.
He annoyed me.
Who annoyed you?
Is it Josh then? Who's Jaywalker?
Jayhawk.
Or Jayhawk or whatever. Yeah.
He annoyed you. Why? What a scandal! We're gonna have some scandal in this video. I'm gonna tag him in it. You know, I'm gonna say you need to listen to this bit, Josh. So be careful what you say. Well, why did he annoy you?
Well, he cold called a free bet in the big blind when I was on the button, and I free bet a fish who opened the cutoff, and it just really triggered me. And I think I ended up like checking back flop, and then he bet turn, and I was like, you probably just have a set of queens or jacks here on I think it was a queen jack something board, and I had ace king. Yeah. So yeah, Josh is
I tangled with him loads. Used to tangle him loads on Sky. He's definitely a good player, but I think like when he's playing against people he knows, and maybe he does knows you, maybe he doesn't know you. I don't know. He might not have a clue who you are in there. I know we've had some interesting spots. Again, more evidence that none of us talk to each other because I ran a huge bluff against him the other night and he nit-rolled me with an overpay. He almost folded it. He put Sai in the chat. He used a time bank, got to the very last fucking second, then called it off with his overpay. And obviously I had fuck all as usual. When I'm overbet jamming rivers, it's usually because I've got nothing. And that was that. He just pulled my pants down. But never mind. Now it's going to be a bit smaller here because we blocked top pair. Get some hands at the end of the video, which is always nice. We didn't win anything with that one though. Obviously he's got $2, so we're just going to stick the rest in no matter what here.
Yeah.
Ah no, this guy's still in the pot as well though. Maybe we're not just going to stick the lot in no matter what.
Yeah,
then.
I just noticed.
I just noticed a $2 dude. In that
Yeah,
case, we're going to check back. I think. Mind you, we got the backdoor spade draw. No, we'll check it back.
I think it's.
Because it's the last time we're going to peel this 6-5 suited, by the way, even though it's fucking horrific to do so. Under the gun versus middle position, we're doing it. It's the last hand. And we've got history with suited connectors. You were the guy we had the 7-6 with, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I like it.
We've got a gut shot on a backdoor flush draw. That's basically all in, isn't it?
There's a good chance there might be something going on in a minute, yeah. Oh, no, not versus that size. No. If you'd a bet smaller, and I didn't realise it was multi-way, yeah, there could definitely have been some kind of check raise opportunity going on. Because they're the sort of board to do like check raising on. Oh, we've put our blind in again, fuck's sake. I'm blinding everywhere. My tea's going to be fucking burned. My wife's going to give me a bollocking. She said, no later, man, it's only 5:45. It's all right. She said tea's at 6, so we got time. Do you call it tea or dinner, by the way?
It's tea.
Thank you. Because you're from down south, aren't you? And you strike me as maybe you're a little bit posh. So I wondered if you were like someone who maybe called it dinner when it isn't. But good.
My dad's from up north.
Is he? Whereabouts up north?
Doncaster.
Good man. Yorkie, eh?
Yeah.
Because when you like knowing you're from Dorset, I was expecting you to come on speaking like a fucking yokel, and then you just got this like really Middle England posh accent. I'm like, that wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting someone like fucking Wurzel Gummidge coming on, you know.
It's every time you hear an R, anything where I have to pronounce an R, so cider.
Cider.
It'll come out a little more.
Right, let's get off these tables before we put more fucking blinds in. Out we go.
Anyway, I think that was a really good session.
I enjoyed it. I always enjoy it. I'd rather make videos with other people. I know it's not always possible, but I think it's better for people watching because it's just more like there's less dead air going on. Because when you are card dead, you're still having conversation. Whereas then when you're on your own, you kind of end up telling stories about yourself that you'd rather probably not tell. just to keep things going.
Just a quick point I just noticed. On the button you opened 2.5x, but under the gun you opened 3x. Are you randomly 3x and then 2.5x in, or is that like a strategy?
To be honest with you, normally I will I mix it up's the wrong fucking way to say. There's no real logic to it. It's just very much. I'll explain that we'll do this because there isn't a good reason for it. But I'll try and explain why. I'm just going to jam at you because he's not folding a 10, is he?
Hopefully he has 8-9. He does not.
Folded. So last hand over here. Yeah, I've gone through different. Oh, why have I just put a blind in? Fuck off. That wasn't part of the plan. So yeah, I went through a spell of just like 2.5xing from everywhere, and then I went through a spell of like 2.5xing early position and like making it larger in late position because we've got less people to get through and fish in the blinds, etc. And now I don't really know. Sometimes I'll just 2x, sometimes I'll 2.5, sometimes I'll 3, and it's just bad autopilot. There's no other reason to say about it. And it's not like, oh, this is my hand, this is who's in the blinds. When I'm playing and I'm like not talking to anybody, I'll be a lot more like normal with it, if you will. But
yeah,
with talking, I've been seeing like the time banks going down a bit, and I've just been clicking random amounts to get the raising, to be honest. But yeah, sometimes I go through different spells. Like I used to back in the day, pot under the gun, 3x middle position cut off, 2.5x button, Then I watched a video where someone explained that it's better to raise smaller in early position because you've got more people to get through and there's more chance of people having hands behind you, and larger in late position. I wasn't sure if that guy was talking sense or not, but it made sense to me, so I started doing that for a little bit. And now, like, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I was 2.5xing for about 2 or 3 weeks, and things were going really well. 2.5xing, using lots of like small flop sizings and then going bigger on turns and rivers. That was working really well.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I've drifted away from it, to be honest, but I just have. And I should probably just get back to it. Lack of focus, basically, buddy, if I'm being completely honest. Just lack of focus.
Well, my general take, and I've watched a couple videos. So I watched one by My Name is Carl, where he uses a 2.2x under the gun and then 2.3 to 2.5 on the button and a 3x from the small blind. And I started using that, but now obviously because you can't do 2.2, you do because I don't have a little number pad to type the numbers in.
Why don't you have it?
I use it on an emulator and on the PC.
Right,
it just doesn't come up. So I just use 2.5x from under the gun and 3x from the button. But I watched a video about a guy who was doing, who was showing new solved pre-flop ranges for high rake games such as micro stakes, and it basically just favoured 4xing everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, because it noticed that when it changed the range completely. So all of these pre-flop solved ranges that people have from, say, like Upswing and like Monka Solver and stuff like that, they don't take into account the really high rake. And when you like 3x and say you 3x the button and big blind calls, well, that raise itself is usually not making any money, and both players are losing from that. And you have to make money post-flop. Whereas when you 4x and say big blind calls, and if they're calling even just like a slightly tighter range, you're actually making money just in the pre-flop raise, which I thought was really interesting.
Because I quite like the idea of 4xing, especially in soft games where there isn't that much 3-betting. But if we are 4xing, therefore we're going to be facing much larger 3-bets, so that means we're defending less versus 3-bets then, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right,
you can, and like you 3-bet more when people raise 4x. You basically just never flat. You pretty much just always 3-bet, even on the button. Flatting against 4x's is supposedly not very good if they have a correct range for a 4x. If they're opening their normal 3x range, but they're now doing it for 4x, then 3-betting them is like super profitable. But when you 4x and face a 3-bet, your range like just gets quite tight because the pot's going to be super inflated, and most of the time you're going to be out of position unless it's like button versus small blind or big blind.
Well, guess what's going to happen tonight? I'm going to play at some of the same tables as you, and I'm going to misapply this completely and have a lot of fucking fun doing it. That is what is going to happen tonight. And I wish we'd said that earlier, because I'd have been happily 4xing all through this fucking video, so you could at least talk me through how not to completely fucking butcher it. But never mind. I guess I'll figure things out myself tonight. So you're going to see me 4xing from everywhere tonight. So have fun 3-betting me with wider than queens and making me fold all the time. But I don't mind that so much, because if I know I'm supposed to fold more, then I won't make as many shit defends, I guess, because I just overfold a bit more. So yeah, have fun with that, bud. You'll be able to get a lot more folds out of me tonight, because I like peeling 3-bets, but that's why I like doing the 2.5, because you can peel so many more 3-bets. But but that's when I end up getting myself in a lot of trouble. If I'm just 4xing and folding a lot more, then happy days. I saw a couple of people on Sky doing that before I left. Don't Tell Mum was doing it last year sometime. Liam Boy was doing it, and I like Liam Boy, he's a nice fella, but I don't think he's that good at poker. But maybe he's fucking been doing it right, and I've been looking and thinking, 4x, what a fish you are. And maybe he's just been one step ahead. And it's me that's been the fucking idiot. I'm more than happy to accept that I could have been the idiot there. But yeah, if we're at the same table tonight, sir, you're going to see a lot more 4xing. But please don't be too fucking horrible with me. Right, buddy, going to go and have my tea, but thank you ever so much for doing this with me. I really appreciated it. This is going to go up tomorrow. I mean, obviously for people who see it, it's going up now, but I'll put it up tomorrow and I'll link you to it when we've done it.
All right then, buddy.
Magic.
Cheers.
Cheers. Take care. Stay safe, everybody. Bye for now.
See ya. Bye.